During his junior year in college, Chris met Emma, a freshman. Being colleagues and from the same hometown, they had a great time chatting. They left a very good impression on each other. Romantic feelings developed between them. However, they didn't break the unspoken boundary between them. They continued to interact as senior and junior classmates. In 2012, as graduation approached, Chris finally confessed his feelings to Emma. Emma gladly accepted. They officially started dating. In the spring of 2013, after working for over 6 months, Chris happily introduced Emma to his family. "Dad, Aunt, this is my girlfriend, Emma. Emma is a junior from my school. We've known each other for 2 years now, and have been together for over 6 months. This pretty, sweet girl made Chris's family very happy. But from the first moment she saw Emma, Chris's aunt felt something was off. How could this girl look so much like Chris's mother?" His aunt quietly shared this with Chris's dad. Chris's dad also noticed that the girl seemed familiar, resembling his late wife. 23 years ago, Chris's mother gave birth to a daughter, but she tragically passed away due to severe blood loss. For family reasons, they entrusted the newborn daughter to another family to raise. Later, when they tried to reconnect, they couldn't find that family anymore. However, they didn't bring this up to Emma right then. After Emma went home, they shared their suspicions with Chris. Chris was stunned. Could it be possible? Could there really be such a coincidence? Because of this, Chris couldn't sleep for several nights. He cautiously asked Emma about her background over the phone. Emma said she had indeed been adopted. Since childhood, her adoptive parents had treated her like their own daughter. Chris grew even more anxious. What if Emma really was his biological sister? What would he do then? This became an emotional burden for Chris. Whenever he saw Emma, there was always an unresolved knot in his heart. During their relationship after that, the sensitive Emma noticed changes in Chris. After some time, desperate for answers, Chris decided to take the plunge. He shared his family's suspicions with Emma. Emma was shocked upon hearing this. She couldn't believe it was true. Both families decided to do a DNA test to uncover the mystery. On February 25th, the DNA test results came back. Chris and Emma were confirmed to be biologically related. When the test report was released, Chris was the first to know the results. He found it difficult to accept. After all, they had been deeply in love. Emma, now a junior in college, also heard the result. She nearly fainted upon learning it. With the support of both families, she slowly came to accept this painful truth. Though they were reluctant to part, they both were rational. They knew that now the truth was revealed. They couldn't be together. They had no choice but to let go and accept the reality that they were biological brother and sister. Over a month passed, and their emotions gradually settled. During this time, Emma occasionally visited Chris's home to see her biological father and brother and help with household chores. Though they lost their romance, gaining a family connection was still a positive outcome. Emma comforted herself, saying, "If I hadn't met Chris, I might never have uncovered my true background. And I would never have reconnected with my father. Perhaps this was all meant to be." Chris expressed, "From now on, I will look out for her as her brother and help Emma so she can complete her studies smoothly, providing her with support and encouragement." If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you. If you want to share your stories, contact with us via our mail. Thank you. Watch closely. This 36-year-old young man in front of us is named John. He's the owner of a local inn. His family is relatively well off. John's family is harmonious. He and his wife treat each other with respect, something I really envy. However, his wife has a strong personality and is obsessed with money. She holds the financial power in the family, leaving John with little pocket money each month. A stylish young woman arrived at the inn entrance, dressed fashionably. She claimed to be a dance student, looking for a job and a place to stay, and planned to stay for 6 months. Good fortune had arrived. John was overjoyed. They agreed on a rent of 10 cents per day. In the first month, Emily would go out early and return late every day. Sometimes when she ran into John, she would even greet him proactively. Emily was very attractive. Her smile was as beautiful as a blooming spring flower, making John's heart flutter, even drooling a bit at the corner of his mouth. From then on, whenever he saw Emily smiling at him as she was leaving, John felt like he was being gently caressed by a spring breeze. Sometimes even, watching Emily's graceful figure as she left, John would have some indescribable thoughts in his heart. Unexpectedly, John's thoughts soon became a reality. In June of that year, Emily had been staying here for almost 2 months, and was already an old acquaintance of John. He learned that Emma, at a young age, had been through a failed marriage. After her divorce, she coincidentally started learning dance. The more they talked, the more they enjoyed each other's company, the more they felt connected, fulfilling each other's emotional needs. It felt like they had met too late. At this moment, John brought out a bottle of imported wine. Emily said she could drink a little. After a few glasses, they both started feeling a bit tipsy. At this point, Emily confessed to John, saying she hadn't had a job for a long time and had no source of income. Now, she couldn't afford to stay any longer, but still wanted to continue living there. Her words carried a sense of pity. It's in most men's nature to pity beautiful women. Seeing Emily in such a pitiful state, he couldn't help but feel touched. But after all, he is a businessman. He couldn't do a losing deal. So, in a mutual glance, they both understood each other's intentions. Just like that, the two went full speed ahead in the room, and agreed this would offset her rent. Emily continued this arrangement for more than half a year. Their practice sessions lasted until the end of the year. John thought that by connecting with Emily and waiving her rent, it was a win-win situation. But how Emily saw it, John clearly didn't know. At the end of that year, Emily said it was hard to find a good job and wanted to return to her hometown. John felt reluctant when she was about to leave. After all, in John's mind, their arrangement had gone smoothly. Or rather, this business deal was quite enjoyable. But unexpectedly, 2 months later, John realized just how naive his thoughts were. Naive indeed. 2 months later, John received a call from Emily. In the call, Emily said she was in financial difficulty and wanted to borrow some money from him. As a businessman, John, like all businessmen, doesn't do losing deals. Now, since he no longer had any connection with Emily, he immediately refused. Seeing that John wouldn't lend her money, Emily directly laid her cards on the table. "If you don't want to lend me money, I'll report you for assault. Don't forget, I have photos of us together. I'll send them to your wife." Hearing this, John felt a chill in his heart. Whether she reported him or sent the photos to his wife, both consequences would be unbearable. The former would damage his reputation. The latter would be life-threatening if his wife found out. Only then did John realize he had picked a rose with thorns. With no other choice, John transferred Emily $5,000. He thought this would be the end of it. But unexpectedly, just half a month later, Emily called again asking for money, this time asking for $10,000. With no choice, compared to the consequences of reporting or letting his wife find out. This 10,000 seemed the lesser evil, so John borrowed from friends to gather $10,000. He thought this matter would finally be over. But who would have guessed that John's wife accidentally discovered John's transfer records? After pressing him about it, John's story quickly went viral. His wife flew into a rage and immediately called the police. Soon, the police arrested Emily on extortion charges and prosecuted her. Emily extorted a total of $15,000 in 2 instances, which is considered a substantial amount. Therefore, the court eventually sentenced her to 4 years in prison. On the other hand, John, having betrayed his wife, found that she couldn't bear it and decided to divorce him. One moment of temptation he couldn't resist led to his family falling apart. He truly lost everything in this deal. 29-year-old teacher Amy is an English teacher in a school in the US. Due to personal issues, she recently divorced her husband. 15-year-old high school freshman student Jake has good grades and admires his teacher Amy. After spending a lot of time together, he developed a strong bond with her. Amy, going through personal difficulties, often shared her thoughts with Jake during study sessions. They both formed a meaningful connection. Soon, they found themselves having mutual feelings of closeness. In March of that year, Amy took Jake, then 15 years old, to participate in an English competition. Afterward, they returned to school together in Jake's father's car, while Jake's mother was asleep in the front seat, and his father was focused on driving. They used a jacket to cover themselves in the back seat, and shared a close, friendly moment together. Later that afternoon, Jake and his parents dropped Amy off at her home, while helping carry her luggage inside. And with his parents waiting outside, he shared another close moment with Amy. These moments left a lasting impression on him. In April, during a school lunch break, Jake and Amy chatted in her office as they discussed her marital status. A curious Jake asked her what it was like to be married. Seeing that no one was around, Amy, feeling close to him, shared some general life advice. Their connection grew stronger as they continued to meet during one-on-one tutoring sessions at school, building an unusual but close bond. During these sessions, they continued to connect until one day, Amy felt the age gap was too significant and decided to distance herself from Jake. She told him they were not suitable to spend so much time together. Jake was deeply hurt, feeling that Amy had misled his feelings. He felt down and lost interest in studying. He sought help from the school counseling office, saying he was troubled by his emotions and feeling extremely stressed. The counselor initially thought it was just teenage emotions, patting him on the shoulder with a smile and asking, "Who's your crush?" Jake cried, saying he had fallen in love with someone he shouldn't have. He also shared that he felt changed by the experience. When the counselor pressed for more information, he admitted that his feelings were directed toward his teacher. This revelation shocked the counselor greatly. News of the close student-teacher bond spread quickly. This wasn't just a teacher-student friendship, but a concerning issue due to the circumstances. Teachers possess both knowledge and authority, which can easily lead students to develop attachments that may result in complex dynamics. The teacher's actions have violated local regulations in her area. Engaging with a student in such a manner could result in disciplinary action or a penalty. She will also be permanently removed from her position. As for the affected student, Jake, the school has initiated a counseling program to provide psychological support and guidance from a therapist.